All right, everyone, welcome back to the main ballroom for the conclusion of Saturday's RDC events. All right, everyone, hope you've enjoyed the day. How are we feeling? People tired? No, yes, lots of mixed signals. Why would I ask a question like that? There's no real answer. Well, happy to have you guys back here. As you guys know, this is one of our older traditions with RDC. From the very beginning, we try to have a little bit of a conversational Q&A with everyone out there. So some folks submitted questions online. We got a lot of questions for the engineers. If we have time at the end, we're going to try to do a live Q&A. There is a mic directly in front of me. If we have time, we'll call some folks up to stand one at a time, and you can ask your live questions. However, priority will be given to those who submitted online. So we're going to go through that list first. All right, hey, that's me in the back. So, as you guys know, I'm going to host this panel. I reviewed all your questions online, and I realized I might be important to introduce myself, as not everyone here knows me. I am Justin, I am J-Party. I'm actually not an announcer. I manage developer programs here, especially top dev programs at Roblox. Things like the Accelerator Incubator, a lot of the analytics stuff you're going to see, part of the STARS program, things like that, all come through that team. So if you have questions about these programs, you can go ahead and ask me tonight or tomorrow. Or message me on the forum, or whatever channel you can find me on. All right, cool. A couple things to note. You may have noticed the back of the room is no longer a wall. It's a hipsterific setting for sitting and chilling and generally jamming on your games. That will be open all night along with the snacks for the game jam, but that's not why we're here right now. So we'll talk about that in an hour. Okay. Without further ado, let's call up some of our special panelists. And I'm going to switch mics. All right. Boom. All right, let's welcome to the stage, RB Adam. Woo! This feels like a celebrity game show run-on a little bit. Our first contestant. All right, coming up next, you definitely know his name, Zug CG Arsony. Come on down to the stage. Oh, this is good. I'm excited that people still have energy at this hour. All right, the newest member of the team. He doesn't lack in knowledge, even though he's new. Mahesh, come on down. Unholy cowboy. And finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, Sorkis himself. Sorkis, come on down. Where was the Imperial March when he came in? No, that's not important. Okay. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Should we say hello in the mics just to make sure we are all on?
Hello. Hello, hello.
All right, good, good. We're working.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Hi.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, folks, like I mentioned, these questions were online. We got submissions for everyone. The four categories that we were trying to convey were studio, web, client, and platform. So all these folks up here should hopefully represent those categories. There's a lot of cross-representation up here on purpose, as some of these questions might be going into different categories. But without further ado, since we don't have a ton of time, I'm going to go ahead and just start these off. To try to keep it more organic this year, we didn't really pre-assign them. So hopefully we get volunteers to answer these questions, or we're going to be sitting with a lot of awkward silence. Cool. So let's just start off at the top there. This is in theory a studio question, but let's just ask it. Start off with an easy one. Will there be options in the future that will enable effects for UI creators? For instance, CSS, drop shadow, border radius, border types, etc.
Am I taking that? Yeah, we have discussed this internally. This is something we absolutely have to do. The question is whether it's CSS or something our own custom format, right? But we will definitely be doing this.
Cool. Do we have an ETA? We'll just say soon.
I would say soon TM.
Great. Perfection. All right. Good. Good to see. We got some energy out there. All right. This question, actually, I'm going to assume this one is actually an Arsony question. What is the progress, we heard a little about this today, on The Future is Bright?
The future gets brighter every day. So I forgot if this was mentioned in sort of public keynotes, but we have multiple people working on this project for quite a bit now. It is hard. We have most of the first 2 stages done. So some things will be shipping very, very soon. And as Adam said, everything should ship by the end of the year. Fingers crossed.
Very good. All right, let's jump over to a web question, and we're going to start with an easy one here. Will there ever be an official dark theme for the site? Gosh, a lot of dark theme.
Sarkis, what do you think?
Possible. So this is something there has been some discussion about. I wouldn't say like we have a decision on this necessarily speaking. For like a development environment, it makes it very clear that you need a dark theme, right? Like for example, this TV is kind of like in my eyes right now. But for a consumer product, usually it's light theme, but we have discussed this. It's possible, but no plans right now.
Great. Cool. Sticking to the web theme right now, this one's a good question here, as I try to not censor these. Why were the genres, i.e. action, comedy, adventure, horror, filters removed from the homepage, and are there any hopes of them coming back?
Yes. So there was different phases discussed. We understand that there has to be some sort of genres or tags that needs to be as part of the games. We had to remove them for several reasons. One of them was the layout, but we are investigating if we can have tags and labels as part of games that describe the games, and this will be added to the product sometime in the near future.
Yeah, we should say the old tags and labels were maybe not the best.
I can agree with Adam a little bit.
we can do better.
I think we can
collaborating with everyone.
I think we can do more than town and city and some of the other ones.
Naval.
Town and city, or just all. I think everyone was just all for the most part. Why limit yourself when you can be everything? Okay, jumping over to the client side. Are there any plans to create more realistic hitboxes for custom meshes and unions?
Yes, so the current system to generate collision geometry has not changed since we have shipped CSG, and this is what we use for mesh parts. We have revamped the CSG solver, right, and one of the following things, not this year probably, but probably next year, will be to improve the generation of the collision geometry. As part of this, maybe we will have more options to say, hey, I want way more accurate collision representation than I do get right now.
Great, cool. All right, moving over to platform questions here, as we're just going to kind of bounce around. Question for console, Xbox. Are there any plans to increase the social aspects of console play?
Social aspects as in like the friend graph?
Looks, we got IE as chatting of some kind.
Right, so I guess I'm a little confused by the question, because we do have voice chat.
We do. Maybe they don't know.
Right, that's part of the product, pretty much because it's one of the Microsoft requirements. So maybe that's talking about specifically for text chat. Right. Most people don't want to type with their controllers. It's not an enjoyable experience.
Yeah.
But if you are that person who enjoys it, or you have a keyboard or stuff like that, we would love to hear from you.
Yeah. So there you go. We already made it more social. Voice is released. Okay. Let's jump back over to a studio question here. Is there a process that can be done to turn popular plugins into built-in studio features?
As in studio ships with popular plugins?
Yeah, more or less. Does the most popular plugin become a feature, I guess, is trying
this
to say.
is definitely the future we are looking at. Basically, the technology we want to build is, in the long term, it's just whatever we are releasing, our tools and everything are just the same framework as the plugins that you guys will be developing. This is the future we want to go for. It's just a matter of time opening up Studio over a period of time.
Great. Cool. We got a lot of studio questions, so I'll ask another one here. Will there ever be a function that, after prompting a developer product purchase, checks to see if that purchase worked or did not succeed? Purchased or didn't purchase is how they phrased it.
So my understanding was you do get a receipt with the information on the purchase. So maybe the receipt is not good enough. I would love to talk to the person who asked this question.
All right, we can clarify. If you ask this question, come on down to the mic and we'll try to clarify what you were going for here. All right, let's jump over back to some web and interface stuff. Are there plans to expand user advertising on the website beyond the current sponsoring, skyscraper, and banner ads systems?
Okay. Yes. So the question is basically the skyscraper and the banner ads are what's called as intrusive ads, where it's clear it's an ad, it's taking up space on the layout. We want to create a much more consolidated ads framework, right? Much more closer to the modern products where the ads are just part of the experience. We did a piece of this, which is the sponsored ad system, but we want to do more of this, and we definitely want to expand this for capabilities like if you make a zombie game, you should be able to advertise to the players who like the zombie aspects of the game. So this is the future we're going for. It's just a matter of getting there. I do want to mention that it is possible that we will roll back on the banner and like the other ads simply because they're very intrusive for the players and create a much more seamless ads experience for them so they can choose.
Great. Cool. Awesome answer. All right. What do we have? Let's jump on over here. Okay, here's a generic question that I don't even know if we do. How does Roblox use machine learning? And if we do, what purpose does it serve?
So we are starting to use more and more machine learning. It's not something that's developer facing right now, but machine learning is becoming a really useful tool, as I think a lot of you have probably heard, for solving all kinds of interesting problems. So we're starting to apply some machine learning to our text filtering and to some other things we're doing.
Great, cool. All right, jumping over to client here. So we've talked a lot about mobile performance. In summary, what are some of the major steps we take to more efficiently handle things like large and complex maps on these devices? What's our strategy?
So there is a recording of my talk that will be available at some point after the conference that talked about some of this. The strategy generally is optimize everything that you possibly can. Try to use streaming. If streaming doesn't work, tell us why. We know there's like a lot of issues that we need to be fixing. Once we do, hopefully it will be just a no-brainer. And this is it, I suppose.
Cool, great. All right, let's talk about web again. Here's a funny one. Will there ever be an easier way to remove friends from your friend list? Someone is sad and wants to mass delete their friends, it seems.
Okay. I'm going to go with the short answer. Short answer, no.
Okay.
A little bit more detailed explanation. Generally speaking, we want to create a very powerful and strong social graph. So that means that we want to encourage people to make positive connections and not like encourage negative features like removing friendships. So this is the main reason that we don't necessarily enrich like you deleting your friends. In fact, another way to put it is there's no reason for you to delete a friend. We should be automatically be able to take care of that for you. Using machine learning, we should be able to figure out that they're lesser priority. You never talk to them and not show them to you, and that automatically kind of goes away. That'll be the ideal world. Because like the way I used to describe this internally is, none of us in the real world walk up to each other and say, hey, I'm your friend. Hey, I'm your friend. And we shake hands, which is really what the friend request system is,
yes.
Right? And the system was introduced because of technical limitations. If Roblox can automatically figure out who your friends are, we wouldn't need to have you to actually do that friendship handshake. And that might be the future we want to go for.
Cool, awesome. Talking about players and games friends, let's jump over to this question. Are there any plans to allow developers to prompt players to join a group from in-game? Cool function.
Absolutely, yes.
Absolutely, yes. Cool.
So we are going to... There's a larger part, it's part of the larger discussion of like introducing discussions for groups, enriching groups with more features. It's something we have talked about for a very long time. The question is like the timing, right? So like we are going to do some parts in improving groups with Kelly's social team, and once those things kick in, we will be looking into enriching the group APIs. I see no reason not to.
Great. Cool. Here's a generic question. I'm not sure we have a good answer for this. Is there any way to have a complete client archive? I don't know if I understand what it's even asking. Does someone up here?
I suspect this question is asking if they can get old versions of the client. So that's not something we currently support. I know that people who are sufficiently motivated can find these things lurking in corners of the internet. If you want to take a nostalgia trip down memory lane, it's possible, yeah. So that's about it. But we're not going to officially support that.
You should start saving the current executables now. In 10 years, they will become priceless.
Oh, great advice. Can't wait to see that on the black market. All right. Will there be cell shading options for parts, mesh parts, union operations? They want the cell shading.
Yeah, so we plan to look into providing some sort of post effect that enables more cartoony look on the games. It probably won't go as far as having like cell shading of the quality that you would expect on, I suppose, anime games, but we plan to have something as a post effect.
Great, awesome. Okay, sticking to studio questions here. Question for save data. Are there any plans to introduce general compression algorithms for us to use to compress data for save files?
So we don't have a plan for this, but I do believe it's a reasonable ask. So whoever submitted that, actually, everyone who wants that, please communicate to our developer relations team and explain why you want it. Let's get some use cases put together.
Great, yeah. Cool, and we can help with that. Talk to Deepak or me or anyone after this from DevRel, and we'll work on getting it through. All right, here's a burning question they all have. When will new group functionality come out? Since the rest of the website has a much cleaner redesign, will the groups page receive any updates to improve that user experience as well?
I mean, short answer, yes, absolutely. It's just so typically a strategy we use to kind of like go through redesign pages is to look. It really goes by the impressions, how used the page is. Groups as a feature is highly used by a subsection of the players versus some of the other pages we have redesigned. It's just a matter of us getting to it. We absolutely want to improve the group's experience. You should be able to see some of these rolling out in the next year or so.
Cool. Cool, sounds good. We are actually approaching the end. We got a couple more left here, but I want to remind folks, looks like we are going to have time for some live Q&A. So, actually, while we're talking about that real quick, you'll see in the middle there, Clone, want to raise your hand? He is sitting right behind the microphone that we're going to be using here. So, I'm going to ask one of our staff members to come join us. Oh, Kelly's already there. How awesome. And if you do have a question, come up only like a couple at a time. We're going to form a line behind Clone and Kelly. And we're going to have you guys be able to ask your questions. You're going to run through them real quick with Kelly, but only have a couple up there at a time because we don't want to just overrun people. But in the meantime, we're going to keep moving up here as we got a couple questions remaining. Client question. This one's going to get advanced here, so hopefully I can read this correctly and sound like I know what I'm talking about. Are there any plans to speed up the Lua interpreter? Even without JIT compilation, LuaJIT is 3x as performant. Could we get first-class support for statistically typed Lua or another statistically typed programming language?
So this is a very long question.
Yes.
So the answers are yes, we need to be looking into that. We cannot do LuaJIT on many platforms for many reasons. And there is probably a bunch of threads on dev forum where maybe I say why. We are planning to look into making the interpreter faster. It's not clear how much it will help on which types of games. And also we are thinking of other languages as well, but the motivation there is mainly not performance, it's usability.
Great, cool. All right, just a couple questions left here. Back to the studio. Could we get working breakpoints in test server mode?
Yes.
Great, solved. Check that one off the list. Will we ever be able to edit/change core GUI?
No.
Great.
But to clarify, just to extend on that answer, we will give you APIs to potentially customize various options of the core GUI, but we can never allow you to inject code into the core GUI simply because the reason core GUI exists is because it's secure. It's part of security.
Great. All right, we have 3 questions left here. Is anything being developed to make it easier for developers to show people that there's updates for their games, so no more of this new/update in the titles? Great question.
The answer is no, never. Actually, just kidding. So something is right around the corner. For those of you who attended the summer sneak preview, we are coming out with game update notifications very, very soon, actually over the next few weeks. So using this, developers will be able to reach their audience and publish game updates. And these are going to show up on the notification stream. And not just that, when basically, as part of the notification stream, we're going to see a play button embedded in the notification, and players can join the game right from the notification directly by clicking on the play button. And And shortly after, we're going to also be coming up with game update analytics. So we'll be able to see how many people follow a game, how many people view the notification, and how many people actually join the game from the notification. So stay tuned.
Awesome. Great. That was best answer yet. All right, final 2 questions, and they're a doozy. Are there plans to let Robloxians, these fine folks, use meshes to create hats and sell them on the catalog?
Yes.
All right, it's coming. It's coming. You've heard it here.
I can, if you.
Yeah,
so
more.
The vision, I think, like Grace touched on this on our keynote. The vision for us is to enable all sorts of creation, not just games. So, like, we want you to be able to create hats. We want you to be able to be marketing on Roblox, things like this. So we are going to slowly expand the feature set for you to be able to do these different skill sets.
Great. And the final question before we move to the audience, will Roblox ever be on the Nintendo Switch? No scopes.
Ever. Okay, if the question really depends on what Nintendo's criteria is, really. Like, I think, like, from a strategical perspective, we believe in being on every platform possible, but so it's just a matter of us executing and the priorities for us, but it really depends on whether Nintendo is open for a very creative product like Roblox.
Cool. So if your parent works at Nintendo, let us know. Anyway, all right. Moving on here. All right, let's jump to the audience. Kelly, do we have our first panelist ready, or our first developer ready?
Yes, we do.
Excellent. And the mic works. All right. Introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Breza.
Good,
I have a quick clarifying question, and then based on that, a user story question. So on the roadmap, we've seen, and we've all been excited by universe scripts. I just want to clarify, are these scripts that run at the game level? Is that what universe scripts are?
So they are running as an individual entity. So they could be running at a game level. It'll just be left to the developers to use creative ways. Think of it as like you're able to run code that's independent of the data model in a game.
And are they able to communicate with game servers?
Correct. They would be able to do that.
My specific use case is if players are in a guild and they want to chat with guild members that might be in different servers, would I be able to do that?
Short answer, yes. But there are certain caveats that we need to consider on the platform side in terms of enabling a chat, right? For the lack of, like, just to kind of clarify, it looks like your use case is really like creating like a Discord-like chat application with using this framework, and technically it should be feasible for you to do that.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, earlier I think a similar question came up in the session as well. So in order to build this, we also have to build an event system where we let servers talk to each other, and they can be used for chat as well. So yes.
Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Breza.
Hello, this is a question for Sorkus, and I think you might already know what it is. So there are some designers in Roblox's community who have noticed that a bunch of shirts and pants are being copied by bots, and there's like a plagiarism problem. Are we aware of this, and do we have any plans to fix this in the near future?
I've never seen this. So I'm just
Sure.
Just joking. So I totally understand and acknowledge the rampant botting problem. It looks like you have a shirt and there is 20 copies of the same shirt created by bots. We are actively discussing what these options are because the solution is fairly complex, right? Like anybody should be able to make a black shirt, right? But if you make a more creative black shirt, you don't want anybody else to copy it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So this is where the solution is not trivial. At the same time, we want to keep our platform as open as possible. If you take a typical outside platform, they usually restrict the developers who are able to sell stuff, and this is how they kind of solve the problem. But we want to keep our platform as open as possible. We are discussing actively. We don't have like a slam dunk solution for this problem yet. But this is a problem that we absolutely have to solve because, as I mentioned, we want people to be able to create hats. We want people to be able to create shirts and pants and things like that in the near future.
Sounds good. Cool.
Great. Thank you, Clone Trooper. Once again, make sure to introduce your username as you ask your question.
Hi, I'm Pluton M, and I'm wondering about reflections, if there's going to be like an update to make them more accurate, like maybe stop using the skybox as a cube map.
So we have long-term desire to do this, but no short or medium-term plans to do this. This is one of the hardest problems in computer graphics. There's not a very good solution that adequately supports dynamic worlds, etc., etc., etc. So I think we will start doing some R&D on this in the next couple of years, but I wouldn't expect anything to ship in the next couple of years.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Chad the Creator. So I have a question. Are you guys planning on adding like the ability to blend between skyboxes, or change the night sky, or apply a different color or gradient to the default skybox?
So our big sky direction is moving more towards procedural skies rather than tactical features around skyboxes. So we're going to try and push that direction as far as we can and see what that enables. And if there's still use cases that require more of that direct overrides, then we'll explore that at that time. So there's nothing directly on the roadmap right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chad.
Hello, I'm Smooth Block Model. When I first started on Roblox, Roblox was a very big building platform, and building in-game got me very interested in being a developer later in life. So my question is, building games right now aren't very popular because there's no way for us to export those things for the user to use in their own game. Is there any plans in the future for me to be able to create a building game, say a roller coaster game, where players could then export that roller coaster model as a model and then use it in their own game?
What about create place in player inventory async?
Well, you could do that, but that's kind of hacky. There's no like simple way for a player to kind of see that, but I guess that's a workaround.
I'm kind of kidding. So we always had the vision to extend that to creating models. So, and I think that's really ultimately what people want, is the creation of models rather than the creation of places. So that is definitely something we'd love to support. We don't have it on our direct roadmap now, but I think long term, we do want to encourage people on Roblox to make places that enable creation, that meta level, and that's probably the way to do it. So thank you for bringing that up. Thank you.
Awesome. Great question. All right, folks, looks like we got 2 more questions left, and we are almost right on time, so this is perfect.
Hi, I work here, but I still ask questions.
What's your username?
My name is DavidiI. As we move towards more and more realistic avatars to represent who we are, is there a plan to move towards a system that's more conventional, where we have meshes being deformed by bow and armatures underneath in order to make more realistic animations?
So, short answer. This question gets asked every time, literally every time I've been here.
And also
sometimes by the same person.
Same?
Yeah, I definitely don't ask this question.
I don't remember this.
Every
I think
time.
it's the same person, actually.
Hi, Sorgus.
But actually, the short answer is this time different. The answer is yes.
Thank you.
So we are going to be looking, not in the near future, but as 2019 comes in, we are going to be looking into enabling traditional mesh deformation-based avatars.
Thank you very much.
I would qualify this by, we want to enable mesh deformation, but we don't necessarily want to enable traditional workflows. We want to find the path that works best for our users and our applications. So we want to enable the use case. It's not clear that the solution is you build everything in Maya and then import it, and this is the only way how you can get deformation to work.
Great, cool.
Hi, I'm Yurok101, and my question is about procedural skies. How customizable are those going to be? Are we going to be able to customize the sky color, the amount of stars, the amount of natural satellites like moons, textures? How in-depth are we planning on going with that?
So the thought is probably no texture-based customization initially, but a reasonably wide variety of colors, cloud density, for each cloud layer, potentially several parameters that can allow you to more finely tune the behavior, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So some compromise between having too many settings so that it's impossible to tune and having too few so that you can achieve the look, right? Initially, we're not planning any texture-based customization. It's all procedural.
Yeah.
We will see how it goes.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. That concludes the engineering panel today. So a big round of applause to everyone who helped answer questions today. Thank you all so much. So you are free to go. Please leave your microphone. If you have more questions, the panel will be sticking around for a couple of minutes right outside the lobby here while we set up for the next panel. Coming up next is your developer panel, though, so don't go far. We're going to take a couple of minutes here to bring them up on stage. Thanks again, guys. All right. Let's just do it. All right. I'm going to put on my serious glasses here as I become my avatar, because we are moving into the land of the Roblox developer. I actually can't see anything with these on, so I'm going to take them off. But I am very excited to introduce this next panel. Each year we've kind of started a new tradition here where we try to bring up some developers who worked on very diverse projects, who have different styles of developing on Roblox, bring them up here and answer some of your questions. So we have a handful of questions from online, but we will definitely get time to do live Q&A with the folks here. So if you've got questions for the engineers, feel free to step outside quietly while the rest of us move forward with this. So without further ado, let's meet the folks coming up here. I'd like to bring up first the man, the myth, the meme. Looks like Jackson's coming up, so we're going with BioStream. All right, welcome. Your mic is waiting. All right, coming up next, we've got the man you may know as Z Kevin, but to us, he's just Kevin. Come on down, Kevin's not 7. All right, now the man who can tear out games faster than a speeding bullet. Welcome to the stage, Henry Dev. Come on down, Henry. And finally, he's flew across a large pond to get here. Let's welcome to the stage, Vincent Silent Swords. Right, we encourage you to promote your games any way possible. All right, so we got a couple questions from the folks at home. We're going to go through it. Probably just pick out a couple questions for you all down the line. If at any time you don't want to answer the question, then don't answer it. They can figure it out later. And we once again will have time for questions here. So if you get any burning questions for our developers, go ahead and line up, and we'll get to those a little later. But all right, let's start with a good one here. Who are we going for? All right, BioStream. This one's for you.
I'm ready.
What was the inspiration behind creating Hexaria?
Ooh,
yeah.
So this is like my origin story.
Yeah. How'd you get here? Tell us.
So, did any of you cats play Wizard 101 when you were a little kid? Yeah. It was a great game. Wizard 101, if you don't know, is a card battle game, a lot like Hexaria, except there is no movement. So one day I was in Roblox Studio, and I don't know, I guess I made a hexagon, and I was like, wait a minute. I can put more of these next to each other, and there's no space in between. So I made this hexagon grid, and I thought this would be pretty cool to use some battle mechanics that I'm familiar with, like card-based battle, and I put it on my hexagons, and it was really, really cool. And it started out, there's some old pictures in the archive of my absolutely terrible programmer art way back in the day. The first ever, the first card set that I made was Roblox brick battle items. So you could use a super ball on people, and it would actually like knock them off of the map and break the game. It would break the game every time. So that was cool. But yeah, Wizard 101 was a big inspiration, and some old RTS games with hexagons. Just kind of, it was the perfect match. Yeah.
Great, cool. As we're going through these questions, I want to remind you guys as well, feel free to introduce yourself, tell them how long you've been on the platform for. I realize not everyone might know every developer. I mean, you guys might all know every developer. I don't know how small the family is, but just as we're going through this, feel free to. So we're going to jump across over to Silent Swords there for this next question.
Cool.
And you may be able to guess what game we're going to be talking about. How does Q-Clash stand out from the competition?
Well, right, so Q-Clash, so it stands out because we spend a lot of years right now trying to really create this experience that will really like raise the bar for Roblox and create this like sort of like AAA level style game on Roblox.
I want to emphasize years is the time frame he's talking about here.
Yeah, actual years. Like I think we're up to like 2.5 years now.
I think you presented it as an accelerator project 2.5 years ago when we're going to build a AAA game on Roblox.
Yeah, that's literally how I ended.
Yeah.
I think I ended up my accelerator with less of a game than I actually started with, and that was my,
we went backwards.
And that was my presentation. Like I just have no game. I'm sorry. No, but yeah, no. Just like we were a very heavily character-driven game, and we really want to emphasize on like the gameplay, the maps, the everything really. We have voice acting, we have music, audio.
You have professional voice actors?
Yeah, we have paid voice actors. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we have a full cast. So yeah, no, we're such big fans of like the whole FPS genre that we just want to like, we just want to get it right. We just want to make a game we think is fun and want others to play. So yeah.
Cool, awesome. All right, Henry Dev, here's one for you.
What's up?
All right, here we go. What's this? Oh, we'll start with this one. All right, this is a fun one. How long did it take you to build Treasure Hunt Simulator?
This is kind of funny. It took about 4 days, the first initial version. Do they mean like develop the whole game?
Tell the story a little bit.
The whole game
Feel free
took
to
around like
interpret.
a week or so. The building took a couple days to do.
Well, then I'm going to just follow up with this immediate next question. Are you ever going to update Treasure Hunt Simulator?
Probably, yeah.
How many days
I'm in
will
the
the update
accelerator
take?
program, so it's kind of hard to do with our schedule. But yeah, on the weekends I work on it sometimes, and I'm like about halfway through an update right now. So
Oh, cool. So one is coming. Be ready. Treasure continues. All right. Mr. Kevin, how you feeling today? Good.
All right.
Good. All right. You've got some actually long and really drilling questions. Hope you're ready. Here's a three-parter. We might break this one up a little bit, so we'll start from the first here. What is the greatest challenge creating an adventure game on Roblox?
That's making a game in general, I think.
Yeah?
It takes forever doing it yourself. It took me a really long time to just make everything bit by bit. And in hindsight, I probably should have hired, somebody, but I never ended up doing that.
That's how we learn.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep going with this question a little bit. It's a couple-parter, but they're good. How do you encourage players to be social in a game that is essentially single player? I think we're talking about Robot 64 here, by the way.
Yeah, I figured that.
Yeah.
Well, I have to give credits to 2 Blocks to Quit, wherever he is. He was really, pounding on my neck to make that game social. Throughout the beginning of the program, and I decided to go with
But friendly. No,
yeah,
sorry. Yeah.
a really basic method of let's add a silly dance.
Yeah. Do you think it worked?
It did, and I also had a hub world where everyone could interact with each other. So it's an adventure game, so everyone's going to be all over the place. So the hub world really helped to connect everyone in just a central place where they could party and whatnot.
Cool. Awesome. Great answer. Thank you. All right, let's jump back over to BioStream. And let's keep with the Hex area questions. I'll try to group your games together, and then we'll move on to some of your other projects. When making Hex area, did the whole hexagon tile mechanic ever become a limiting factor in your creative process? Wow.
I don't really have a creative process. I'm not exactly sure what that is.
It's just something you pretend as an artist.
So I think
Who might be? I'm just kicking waters.
Right on, man. So I don't think the hexagons were limiting at all. I think it was actually a really creative move because you don't see a lot of games out there that try to mix this mechanic with many other ones, as happens in Hexaria. So I think it actually enabled for a lot more exciting gameplay. So like for those of you that did play Wizard 101, there was no movement at all. But now we've added area into our combat, which enables AoE, attacks and abilities, all kinds of other movement and moving other people, and there's a lot more gameplay that can take place because you've added these hexagons in there. So I don't think it was a limiting factor at all. I think it actually provoked a lot more creativity than otherwise would have been possible.
Great, cool. All right, jumping back over to Silent Swords. As you know, we got Q-Clash questions. Here's a short one.
Great.
Will Q-Clash
Q-Clash.
Will Q-Clash, there we go, ever become free?
Well, yeah, obviously that's been the plan from the beginning. So yeah, no, we've been like 1,000 Robux for like a long time, but it was just to keep players from playing it because we were like, nah, please don't play our game. It's not done yet. And now we're 60 Robux, so now we're inviting a few more players just to come play our game and share their experiences. Yeah, we want to go free pretty soon, so that's we want to enable everyone to play on PC. We're going to go to Xbox pretty soon, and then hopefully also mobile. So yeah.
Cool, great. All right, let's keep up with the game questions before we move on. Z Kevin, talking about robots. How different is Robot 64 from early production to release? What will the future hold for Robot 64?
So a lot of the development of Robot 64 was just making a lot of content. I initially had the movement and all the things that you do in the game in like 2 months. That was super easy to do. And then I had to make a game, which, that was like I learned a lot about game design just from like Googling it and whatnot. Just throughout, yeah. Just throughout making the levels that are in the game right now.
Great, cool. And you built Robot 64 all by yourself, correct?
Yes, but I got to shout out some of my friends here who gave me a lot of help.
Hey, friends. Great. And I know you did composing the music and everything too, right?
Yeah,
That's
pretty much
awesome.
everything.
That's very awesome. Cool. All right. Henry Dev, how's it going?
Hello.
How you
Good.
feeling? Good. We got some big questions here. Nice. Okay. What is your primary strategy for making a game that people will want to come back to for more?
Ooh.
I guess that word is trying to say retention?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd say make something that players can like do over and over. For mine, it was digging. Something that they can progress up in, get better. Like in mine, you buy better shovels, better tools, and it allows you to like have an advantage over other players. I think really when players compare each other's stats, they want to beat their friends and stuff like that. So having something like that, like a level progression system.
Progression systems, competition. Yeah. Cool. Great stuff. All right. Let's just jump around over back to Silent Swords, huh? We've got some creative process questions here.
Okay.
Before you start developing a game, is there any specific plan of action that you have beforehand in order to brainstorm, get ideas, and get the workflow started?
Yeah, probably. Let's see.
It's a very casual conversation.
Yeah, no, that's a broad question. So, the first question is what kind of game am I making? That's very basic.
Yeah.
Why am I making it? Do I have fun playing my own game or do I have fun developing it? I think that's very important. What's the scope of my game? Is it realistic? You don't want to make your game too big like I did 2.5 years ago. But yeah, that's pretty much it, I think.
Cool. Great. So we got a couple more questions up here, but I want to remind folks at this time we have an open mic in the middle of the room with our lovely Kelly there who will be getting your questions. If you have any questions, feel free to stand up, walk over, form a single file line, and we will answer your questions. So whatever you got, these fine folks will answer them. But while we keep moving here, Jackson, let's jump back over to you here.
Right on.
So we're going to move away from Hexaria for this question. Well, that's only half true. What was the workflow like working on the Ready Player One event in Hexaria with so much secrecy? Did you come up with the riddles? How did it work? They just want to know a little more about the process.
Oh, yes, that's a good question. The Ready Player One event was one of the most fun things I have ever done in my life. The process, so the way it worked was all the challenges were drafted up by me and Crikey over there. Shout out to Crikey. Woo, thanks guys. So we drafted all the challenges. There was not any input from the movie people, if that's the question. It was all us, and then we ran it by Deepak, and he approved and tweaked some things here and there. But yeah, we drew up all the ideas and came up with weird things that happened. And we weren't able to see the movie before it released. So I didn't know how it was going to be different from the book. So I based kind of all of my challenges off of what happened in the book. I don't know how many of you read that, but it's really, really 80s pop culture. And so I tried to incorporate a lot of that. I thought it was really, really funny, really neat stuff. The secrecy was challenging. Editing permissions for groups were a little hard to work around there because you have things that only 2 people in the world are allowed to know. But there are several people that have access to edit them, so you kind of have to make sure you put them somewhere else that people don't have access to. That was an interesting challenge to work around, and having to lie to people is never fun. When they say, "What is this?" it says Crystal Key. I'm like, oh, that's photoshopped. But it's not photoshopped. That was a big issue. So, it was really fun. It was a great workflow after we kind of figured out and got settled in on how to do things without revealing other things to people. But that was good stuff.
It was good. It was fun. Cool. Great. There we go. Hey, Jackson, while I got you here,
oh, yeah, man.
The learning question. What did the Hexaria project teach you, and how does it impact your future projects?
So, what this taught me was you have to find what works for you. So Kevin over here makes games all by himself. I love Kevin. Kevin makes amazing games all by himself, and that obviously works for him. So me personally, I am not good at a lot of things, so I can't do things by myself. And I get really, really energized by seeing other people's creations and being able to integrate them all into a product that, incorporates a lot of different work from different people and creating something that's more than just the sum of its parts, And so I learned from building a project with this team that's what works for me. I need to be in a big group of people and actively collaborate on something that is going to be awesome, and that's definitely going to be my MO moving forward. Is that doing stuff with other people is more fun than doing stuff with just Jackson.
Great. Teamwork and friendship. All right. Very good. All right. So I got one more question for each of you guys up here before we move on to the audience questions. Henry Dev.
Hello.
Hello. You've worked on a lot of projects.
I have,
What strategy do you use to create lots of games? Any tips for developers out there trying to hasten their development time?
Yeah, I would say make a lot of core scripts for your game, so ones that you can use over and over. Usually I use data store scripts a lot, are the same on a lot of my places. So things like that you can use over and over on multiple games.
Great, cool. Silent Swords. Why did you rebrand your group/company, and what was the reasoning behind it?
Right, that's a good question. So we were SO Games before, and that was back when we were just with two of us, Owen and I. And I guess we just wanted to kind of revitalize ourselves since we're 4 people now, and we just wanted to rebrand to visualize that. So we went to a name called Duck Armor. And,
what is the new name?
Duck Armor.
What inspired the new name? Where'd it come from?
Nothing. We just had a brainstorming session. And we were like, ducks and armor. It was chicken armor first, but we were like, ducks are cooler, so we'll just go with ducks. So yeah, and it also has a dot at the end, so it's very artsy. So that's pretty cool.
Good.
But yeah, no, we just wanted to show off that we're new. SO Games also stood for Silent Swords and Owen. Mm-hmm. If anyone ever knew that, and that didn't really make sense. Which you were 4 people, it would have been like Sogi Games or something, and we don't really like the sound of that. So yeah.
I always thought it was just So Games. But
So
that
Games,
makes more sense.
yeah, that was
all right,
it,
great,
yeah.
Cool. Moving along. We have one more question for Kevin. As a scripter, builder, composer, do you consider yourself a Renaissance dev of the Roblox world? It's a good one. How do you feel about your status in the Renaissance of Roblox?
Can you ask that question again?
Yeah, we're going to do it one more time. As a scripter, builder, and composer, do you consider yourself a Renaissance dev of the Roblox world?
I never said I do that, but sure.
Yeah, someone new. You got fans out there.
How do I feel about it? I mean, I don't know. I just do things all by myself, really. It's not a huge deal. For me, I mean, I guess it is for you guys. Maybe.
Those are awesome. Awesome. See Kevin, everyone. Love that guy. So much talent. All right, guys, thanks so much. That concludes the online section, so we are going to move out to the Wild West and get some questions. The hard mode begins. All right, Kelly, we're ready.
Yeehaw.
And once again, if you're out there, introduce yourself with your Roblox username, and if it's for a specific dev, go ahead and call them out.
All right, I'm Dead Dang. This is a general question for all 4 of you. No doubt all 4 of you have had plenty of experience on Roblox, but I'd like to know what is just the weirdest or most morbidly fascinating thing that any of you have ever seen, built, experienced, anything on Roblox.
All right, I guess I'll take volunteers if one of the 4 of you wants to answer this one. We might play Nose Goes. All right, Jackson's doing it.
The other day, I got an invite with no words to a team create session with Defaultio, NS Griff, and Bad CC, and it was only free models that we placed in the game, and we inserted a bunch of weird lighting effects, and change the saturation to like negative a billion. I don't know if you guys know that. And it like does this weird haze on the whole screen. And there was like, I will never be able to erase the images from my mind, but I will also never be able to share them with you, which makes me sad. But
that game's not coming out?
Random, spontaneous team creates are incredible. Always accept. Always.
Oh boy,
I can
that'd be a PSA.
I can share a similar story. So a few of my friends here have found a game that it was just called Nut, and we played it, and it is the weirdest game I have possibly ever seen, and that means a lot coming from me. There's just like I can't even put it into words. There's like Chucky from the Rugrats, and like he's crucified and ugh.
All right, let's keep these stories PG here. PG here.
Yeah.
Good leading question. All right, folks, that's enough of that one. Very good. Weird stories on Roblox. Thank you. Thank you. All right, moving it along.
My name is Isaac the Pooper, and I have a specific question for Silent Swords.
Hi, how are you?
When you were making your Q Clash game, like I just played it one time, and I was really impressed by the sound design. Did you guys create the sound all from scratch?
No. It's kind of funny because all the sounds are kind of like programmer sounds because our programmer just kind of does it in his spare time. It's like if he doesn't have anything else to do, it's like he'll just make some sounds. So no, actually, I think we just use some free services now. It's something we want to do later, but no, for now we just use a lot of free sounds. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Cool.
Hello, I am Reshiram110, and my question is for Silent Swords.
Hi.
So, Q Clash, it's coming along impressively.
Thank you.
It looks like the quality of it and the polish of it looks like a AAA game. My question for you is, when you're creating things such as, the networking of the bullets, shooting players and responsiveness of the network and things like that. Is there an efficient workflow or strategy that you use to make the polish of a AAA game and whatnot?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, when it comes to games like this, it's just a lot of iteration, right? So it took us like 2.5 years. If you see the first version of Q Clash, it was actually based off an older engine of a previous game we made. And it didn't run very well at all. I mean, it was pretty bad, and like the visuals were all over the place, and the effects were non-existent, and like everything was just bad. But like you just keep reiterating over and over again, and you just find like points to improve. And you even get better. Well, I mean, we rewrote the game a couple of times just to make sure that it runs well. We're at a point now where we can say that it runs pretty smoothly for pretty much every computer. So yeah, it just takes a lot of redos, especially like the more complex, the more redos you're gonna have. I mean, it's pretty fair to say, but in most cases, you're never gonna do it right the first try, and you shouldn't feel bad if you don't do it right the first try. Just keep going. Just keep doing it.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Great. Great answer.
Yes, I'm Minyo22, and my question is for Z Kevin. Will Todd the Turnip ever make a cameo in Robot 64 in a possible future update?
Funny you should ask that. He actually is in Robot 64.
I gotta play it more. I'm not the best at platformers, unfortunately.
It's a bit of a secret, so if you're really curious, you can look it
But
up.
on a more serious question for all the devs, what was the most difficult aspect about developing each of your respective games? Was it the modeling of the assets or from texture creation?
We are running out of time here, so maybe 2 people if want to talk on this one. We'll try to get 2 answers.
For me, I have to say texturing is my biggest flaw. That's all I have to really say.
Yeah, mine's probably building. A lot of my game is free models, but they work.
All right, that was pretty quick. We'll get the other 2. You can throw in if you want.
I mean, I guess modeling, right? I'm the map designer, so, and actually all of our maps are actually kind of lacking in texture, so it's pretty easy for me to answer. It's modeling.
Hello, I am Spectroxis, and I have a question for Q Clash. So I played your game, and I found myself constantly like losing wherever I am. Do you ever plan on like adding a line of sort, like a neon red line, to find where you're going?
Actually, that's a good question. It's something we definitely looked into. So we're trying to make it easier for new players to find what you're doing basically, because the maps are pretty big and like they have a lot of corners and everything, and we totally understand you can get lost. That's all very understood. Before a round starts, there's actually lines on the floor that tell you in your color whether you're defending or attacking, that leads you to the respective points or the payload that you go to. It might be that the round, like the pre-round, is so fast that you haven't seen it yet. That's possible. There's also blips on the map that like tell you, there's like little points that point you toward the objectives, and they also like stick to the corners. So if you ever look for those, you should be able to find your objective, I hope.
Okay. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ma_Bucket, and this is a question for any of you. What was your first game idea, and what became of it?
Good one.
First game idea, like made game?
Yeah.
So the very first game I made was in 2007, about 11 years ago, and basically what I wanted to do as a 12-year-old boy was create this sort of lava park, because I found out in free models there's this lava model, and I thought it was really cool. And I made this Doomspire that I got out of free models, and I was like, this is cool, and it ended up being like 6,000 parts. And back in 2007, 6,000 parts was like, this was going to crash your Roblox instantly. So then I lost the file and I got really upset for a while, and then I came back like a month later. That's my story.
Yeah, so my first idea was basically an obstacle course. So I took the old Happy Home in Robloxia from like 2008, and I just started like editing with it, like using the tools in build mode and trying to make an obstacle course. I think I added like some zombies and lava, like he said. Yeah, it's pretty good.
My first game idea was this game called Find the Magic Orb, and you would find the magic orb.
Thank you.
Classic. Kevin.
Mine wasn't really a game, but I thought it was at the time. It was just a part that you could touch, and then it would say "Happy Birthday."
Awesome.
That was all of it. That was
All right,
it.
and this is a question for Kevin.
Oh, we got a double header here. All right.
Can you nerf the sun?
What's up?
Can you nerf the sun?
Nerf it?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Never mind.
All right. Looks like we got two more questions left here from the audience.
Okay, my name is FM Trick. I have a question for Henry Dev. What was your inspiration for Treasure Hunt Simulator? Any particular games or anything like that? Snow shoveling simulator?
Yeah, definitely Snow Shoveling Simulator a little.
Okay.
Also, a lot of the old mining games like the Quarry and Epic Mining.
Cool.
Yeah, those are some of my favorite games.
Cool. Okay.
Cool. And one more question.
All right. Hi, I'm Crazy Blocks. I have a question for Kevin, and it's specifically about, you mentioned earlier about creating music, composing it yourself. Really got my curiosity. What is your creative process, and what do you draw inspiration from, and are there any tips you could give in regards to that?
In regards to all asset creation?
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, mostly I just kind of rip from Nintendo, not gonna lie. But as for like music and whatnot, I don't know. Like, I'm self-taught for the most part, so like a lot of what I know is just kind of messing around a lot.
A lot of experimentation.
That's literally the worst advice I could give you, but that's what I did.
So much for the Switch partnership. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. That concludes the developer panel for today. Thank you again, everyone. Feel free to leave your mics on your seats and take a step off. And folks, we only have a couple more announcements before the conclusion of Saturday's events. So I'm going to step away from the podium and grab my handheld mic, and it's on. How awesome are these sound guys? Which leads me to my first thank you for the day. I'd like to thank the audio-visual team, the sound folks, everyone setting up, the food upstairs, everything you've seen. This has been one heck of an operation, and I want to thank everyone who made it possible in the back there. So maybe a big round of applause for the audio and visual and the technical teams who set it all up. I want to give a couple more thank yous real quickly. I also want to thank Beaslick, who made the theme song for the event. You've heard it a little bit today, just sneaking up on you. We're going to be playing it some more throughout the night so you can really hear it. It's awesome. The fact that he's making an official original theme song for RDC is awesome. Okay, a couple more thank yous, guys. I want to keep this short and brief. I know attentions are getting low. It's been a long day. So I only have a short 30-minute presentation on thanking you guys. Just kidding. Cool. But really,
I cannot stress enough, everyone, how far Roblox has come and how far RDC has come and how far many of you have come around the world to be here today. Roblox is really becoming a magical family for everyone here as we know each other. From the developers, the scripters, the builders, the streamers, and the folks who just want to dream. All of you are so important in building this vision of Roblox. So I cannot thank you enough. I want to thank all of the speakers and staff who have worked their butts off all week, all morning, all month, all year on prepping for RDC, from the presentation to the speeches to the folks just here to keep everyone in line. We could not do it without you. And of course, a big thank you to Builderman, whose dream and vision is why we're here today. So I want a big shout out to Builderman. Thank you again, Dave. All right. We couldn't do it without all you guys, so thank you so much. I cannot say it enough. But let's move on. Let's talk about the game jam. All right, folks. So I want to comment a little bit. I mentioned I managed top dev programs, so the game jam falls under that regime of something I would command or whatever lead. I get a lot of feedback on the game jam. I don't know if there's anything that gets more feedback than the game jam. And here's what's fun. A lot of the feedback is just the complete inverse of each other, right? So that gives us with some conflicting reports. We need to kind of make decisions. So each year we change it a little bit. We try something new. So this year we're going to try it a little bit. The number one complaint we got last year and the year before that was there's not enough time. So to fix that, we're going to give you a lot more time. However, that leads to a new complication. Your Saturday night, maybe now doing the game jam. So we'll see what happens here. So I want to go over how the structure of this jam is going to work. There's also twice as many of you this year as there was last year. So that leads to another complication. We have so many projects and we want to share them all. So one thing we changed, we're going to increase team sizes to be up to 6. That's a lot of folks. So I don't want you to be too stressed about everyone's individual contribution. It's about meeting new friends. If you want to join a game or join the team of some of your favorite devs, ask them. I bet they let you in. And if they don't, tell me and I'll have them let you in. So that's what it's all about here, right, guys? This is a teamwork, and I want to remind you all. We heard a lot about the businesses and the teamwork of building successful studios. But at its core, Roblox has always been about art and expression of who each and every one of you is. This is a platform built on expressing yourself in the truest way possible and having a home that you can present it to friends and feel safe and have fun and experience it together, right? So at its core, it's about friendship and building. However, competition's fun. So the game jam this year is going to have even more sweet prizes than we've ever had before. We've got some cool plaques, some cool trophy for the winners, and for the first time ever, we have built what we are calling the Stanley Cup of Roblox. A giant solid steel trophy is now going to be shipped to HQ. It's on its way now. The winning team will have their names engraved forever on a giant steel trophy that looks pretty sweet, including the old golden domino crown on the trophy, custom made for us at HQ, your name in lights, immortalized forever. So there's going to be some cool stuff. But to keep it fun, we're going to break the game jam into 2 distinctive sections. So starting when the whistle blows, we're going to commence the competitive game jam. That will run all night and into tomorrow, where the judges will start to inspect builds. We will try to present as many as we possibly can for official judging, and we will have a guaranteed winner. However, concurrently, we're going to run something else as well. For the folks that don't necessarily want to stay up all night, don't necessarily want to compete, but still want to express themselves, build something cool and show it off, we're just going to have what I'm calling the casual jam. There's so many different talents out there, from music composers to builders to scripters to just script writers, and everything in between. I'm going to open it up to any size, well, under 6, or individuals who want to just create. So 9:30 a.m. tomorrow will be the official kickoff of what we're calling the Creative Jam. It's going to be a casual competition. We actually still have prizes for the folks that, quote, win. Really, we're going to try to give as many away as we can, depending on how many people participate in the casual jam. You can be making games, anything you want. That official kickoff will be tomorrow morning, but you can casually work on those projects tonight. I won't be watching. Okay, so the official jam will start tonight. Okay, another big feedback. Sorry, guys, I got a lot to tell you about this game jam. Another major part of the game jam, we have a little bit of a fundamental struggle on Roblox. What is that? The point of Roblox is it's completely cloud-based, so everything you've ever built is at your fingertips. Well, that can be a challenge when the goal is for you to make original content when everything's already built there for you. So that's fine. That's fine. We said this year, okay, we're going to change it. We're going to build that right into the scoring system so that if you are using some of your already created assets, your art, some things you've already built, We're going to be aware of that. Part of your score for the competitive game jam will be based on original assets, and we will be standing around and asking your friends, and you guys love to tell on each other, so don't worry, we'll find out. So that's going to be part of the scoring. Just so you guys know, we've worked that in. We'll also be looking at creative design and, of course, the use of the theme. And so before I go any further, actually, I don't want to do the theme quite yet. I want to make sure the rules are set, but I will be inviting a special guest star up here to reveal the theme because I don't even know it yet. And boy, am I terrified. So let me see if I got anything to keep in mind. Boring announcements, yada, yada. Keep your wristbands on. Don't take them off. Security will be here all night. If you take your wristband off at 2 a.m. and suddenly can't get in and no staff is awake, you're in trouble. So keep your wristbands on. However, there should be staff here all night. We're going to be having snacks in a little bit. We're going to be having swag bags in a little bit. At midnight, there's going to be, I believe, a breakfast midnight buffet. There's going to be snacks all around. As you've noticed, there's a whole sweet, cool technology kind of stylish lounge place in the back. What am I really saying? There's bean bags. So feel free to hang out, spread out. You'll notice these tables have been divided into pods. So in a little bit of time, I'm going to say go. We're going to divide you into teams. I'm going to come back here. Teams are up to you guys once again, by the way. Feel free to sit wherever. Casual, competitive folks, intermingle. Then after you divide into teams, we make some noise. I'm going to come back up here with the team. We're going to announce the theme, and it's going to be go time. So all right, folks, I'm going to give you a couple minutes to get divided. We'll be back on stage shortly. Folks, quick announcement as we got some questions already. I want to go over that. If you do not have a team or by yourself would like to be paired on a team, please proceed to the bottom area of the stage where I am pointing. We're going to try to get you on a team there. If you would like to be in the competitive game jam and do not have a team, we can fill you in on some right there, or maybe build a team of the folks who will now be new best friends in the next top studio on Roblox. So once again, if you're a solo, come down there and we will make you a team. For the rest of you, feel free to divide still amongst yourselves, and we'll come back in a minute or two and make the final announcements for the jam.
Walk the tightrope of goodness and hold on for so long till the wind blows. Try to knock my socks off, quick kick dojo. Razor sharp like a shark, emotions grow. Knowledge is self till my frozen windows open. Music's up and the wind is blowing. Rainbows like second chances come and go. till the rain glows. Go. When the day is done and the sun has set,